Okay, so this is a video on how to make a faux passport out of a large envelope. This envelope is 9.5 inches wide by 6 inches tall, and it's got a large window here. So the first thing that you need to do is split it open, and I recommend using a razor blade, this one, like this, because we want to try to get straight edges and conserve as much of the paper as possible. And we're just going to, maybe scissors would work better. I did the first one with a kitchen knife and it was very sharp. Oops, it's kind of slanted. So I've prepped a lot of the stuff beforehand to kind of try to streamline the process. So you've just opened it up, and let's see, I suppose we could glue down the edges. Some of these edges are loose, so we could go ahead and secure those now. It's really only at the envelope flap that you have to worry about. Okay, so this is the first one I made, and that's what it's going to look like. And let's see, so I folded this about 2 and, what is that? I can't read a regular ruler, I can only read this one. 2 1/4 is where we're gonna fold. So turn it with the window on the upper left-hand side and fold. See, it might have even been, I think I just folded right to the bottom of this window. Let's see, that's about right. So just fold right to the bottom of your window here. Okay. And then we're just going to do a simple tri-fold. And let's see, what does this measure? It's about 4 inches. All of them are about 4 inches across. Come on, you. Let's see. Is that about right? Maybe a touch more. Yeah, we'll say that's about where we want it. And try to fold it straight if you can. Straight lines are always good. And I'm just going to fold it right across here. And that's basically how, well, it comes up a little bit short. Let's see, do I mind? Do I or don't I? I'm not too much for perfection. Now, can we fold this one over a bit more? Because I just want it flush. I want it to line up without folding, crushing this. And that looks like it does. Okay. So you've got that part done. And that's exactly how I made mine. I made the photo be on this inside left-hand panel and this be the cover. Of course, you can have this on the outside if you want, but this is just how I did mine. Just seems easier. So the next step is to cut out some little triangles here. And this is going to provide some wiggle room for our little pockets in this. So it isn't so bulky and so it closes a bit more easily. So just little triangles here. Just like that. And let's see, I think I rounded the corners on these after it was all done. Okay, so then I embossed my cover, and I did distressing around the edges, and I just fit it to the back of this. And of course we can trim off any excess here. And I put some washi tape down the back of this. I do like to reinforce these mailers because they're not super strong. So this kind of helps keep it together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now before I glue the cover on. And we can always trim our washi after. And I'm going to glue a whole piece of parchment down here, so I'm not going to reinforce these seams. And then I reinforce these inside seams for our pockets with just some Scotch tape. Since nobody's going to see it, it doesn't need to be washi. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. I think the Scotch tape gives it a little bit more strength than washi, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. And then sometimes too, I will, if this is loose and it will snag, I'll tape these edges down too. Actually, I think I washied that because we put a little thumb tab here. So I'm just going to put some washi here as well. Okay, now we're ready to glue the cover on. And when I did it the first time, you can see that I didn't fit it in quite correctly because it's got, I don't know if you can see it. It's just got a seam here because I didn't fit this parchment, or I didn't fit the cover in well with the envelope. So it's got this buckle, which, you know, not a huge deal, but I'm going to try to do better this time. So just be mindful of lining up these seams. I suppose I could cut this if I wanted and fit it on that way. Do I want to do it that way? I don't want to do it that way. I'm not going to. So I'm just going to do this all at once and try to fit it in there, burnish it really well, and make sure that my seams line up with my ruler here so I don't get that buckle again. And of course, I'm sure, you know, people can think of an easier way to do this. So if you can think of a better way, by all means, do it how it's going to be easiest for you to do. Oops. Because this is kind of a silly way to do it. Oh well. So I just want to make sure that the seams are lined up here with my ruler, and that's what I'm doing. And then we can cut any excess off. And that feels really tight, actually, when I open it. It feels pretty tight. Maybe that's why it made the seam, is because I did get it in there too tight. Interesting. You learn new things all the time. And my pockets are still folding up. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, let's see how we lined up on this side. Yeah, it's a little bit wide, but that's okay. Let's see. Always got to fiddle with this stuff as we're putting it together. Yeah, once we trim this white part off, it should be okay, I hope. Let's see, I think I'm just going to go ahead and trim this white edge off now. It looks like maybe I didn't measure my my cover accurately, which happens, but that's okay. Good thing it's just paper. Okay. All right, so the next portion, I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper onto this area. And this is just resume paper, nothing fancy. And you do want to bring it all the way down to your fold line because you'll be able to see in between where your cuts are. So I just put some glue down and just slapped it on there, which is what I'm going to do this time as well. I love this Barely Art glue because it seems like the less you use, the better it works, which means that you don't go through a ton of glue. And it doesn't curl, it doesn't warp your paper at all. It's my favorite glue ever. I do like glue stick as well, but when I'm using glue, it's probably my favorite. I even like it more than Fabri-Tac, even though Fabri-Tac has a stronger bond. I just prefer this glue. So nice to work with. So make sure you go just down to your seam here. You don't want to go over your seam, so these still fold up. Now with this one, because we have our pocket here on the inside, oh, I guess I did. So you can see here, I didn't bring my parchment all the way down to the seam. So you can see part of the envelope peeking through there, which is fine. It's not a huge deal. So I've got that on, and I'm going to start trimming this off here. And what I ended up doing also with this, once it was all assembled, is I trimmed the top down to make it all even, because it was wonky at the top. So I trimmed it down, which made it look, you know, perfect after that. Okay, so we've got that on. And I'm going to put some here as well, which might be overkill, but oh well. I don't mind being overkill. It's just this little seam right here. I wonder if I should do the whole thing or just a little strip. I think I'm just going to do a little strip because all you will be able to see is right here. It's just that much. Okay. Now, what did I do next? I think well, let's put our blue here. And we've got to put some blue here on this side as well. And I didn't emboss this inside flap. Of course, it's always an option, but for some reason, I didn't. My light's not very bright. I wonder what's going on. No. Okay, well, we'll just have to deal with it. Okay, so we're gonna put blue on this side. And so I kind of overlapped this window to make it a bit more square here. So I just lined my paper up, and then I made a mark, and then I just cut it real fast and lay it down. Looks like it's gonna, it's actually a little bit thin. It'll be fine. And I just put the strips down only to the bottom of my window because I put a piece of solid blue, or solid, just a big solid square of paper there. So I just lay it down, fold it up, and snip. And then later, I believe I straightened it out with a ruler. And this piece will go perfect up there. And I'm going to do this piece first here. Oops. Okay, so I got that one on, and let's see if I can straighten this top piece out. And then I'll trim this top portion. I'm sure you can't see it. That looks like it fits okay. Okay, and now in order to straighten these pieces up right here, because I didn't use a paper cutter to do that, I guess I should have. I could lay my solid piece of paper over these little edges, but I just do this a couple times and it seems to straighten it out well enough, I think, without, oh no, I did cut through the paper there. Whoops. So I guess I'm just teaching you what not to do. Okay. All right. And it looks like I'm gonna trim it right here. Just gonna try to bend it there and then use my paper trimmer, since we know I can't cut straight. Who can though, honestly? That's why they invented paper trimmers, because it is hard to cut straight lines and draw straight lines and perfect circles. So people the world over have difficulties with it. Okay, and that looks like it fits just fine. I'm gonna fold this up. First I'm gonna cut this. And I'm gonna fold my envelope flap up. Okay, got this guy there. Well, you know, maybe I should have trimmed it to have a flush, whoops, to have it be flush with the edge of this. Yikes. You know, my construction skills were much better on my first one. Isn't that the way it always goes? Try to make a tutorial, and that's when things start going haywire. That's okay. Just a little white envelope peeking out here. And of course, we can always trim. And this blue really shows the glue, the excess glue. So I'm just going to do a little trim job here, just the tiniest bit. And hopefully that seam adheres a little bit better. There we go. Really press on it. Okay, now I'm going to trim this off the top. Okay. So I believe my next step was to put blue here on my pockets, or, you know, the coordinating color with the cover on my pockets before I do any distressing. That way I can just do all the distressing at once. And all these pockets, I believe, we folded at, what is that, 2 1/4? Yeah, 2 1/4. So I'm just gonna save myself the trouble and cut a strip that is 2 3/8, just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. Oh, 2 3/8. Okay, so I just lined it up with the bottom and flip my flap over. And I traced around it with a pencil. Can't get much simpler than that, right? Yep, and then I put a piece of scrap paper behind it, so when you glue it on, you're not getting glue everywhere. Okay. And then I just fit it right on there. Come on. Can I pick it up still? Yikes. It's probably on there well enough the first time around. All right, that's good. Okay, that one. And then of course I do round the corners. Let's see, do I need to glue that down? If you've got any loose flaps on your envelope, you want to glue or tape them down. I do that instead of cutting it off because I want as much weight or integrity on my piece as possible. I want to stack materials on it rather than take any off, simply because I feel like it keeps it stronger that way. And any excess pencil, just erase right off. Okay. Of course, so there is a little bit of white on this corner, which is fine. We can trim it off. And I'm going to wait till I round my corners to do that. And finally, we just have this last pocket here. That's not big enough. So I'm going to cut another piece here. And I'm definitely glad I gave myself a bit more room than just 2 1/4. I think the 2 3/8 is working out better. It's got a nice straight edge on it. Yeah, so I just Googled old passports and just kind of found one that I liked, that I thought I would, that inspired me, that I thought I would model for this. So that was really fun to look at all the different passports from different countries and how they've changed over the years. I really liked I think it was a mariner's passport is what it was called for sailors, which I didn't realize that they would have a separate passport for, but it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so before we distress, I want to figure out what I'm going to do with this area here. What I did before was use a piece of parchment paper, the same that we did for the backing here, and I cut a thumb notch. That way I could slide in this little photo portion of the passport. But this parchment is a little bit thin, and so I was trying to decide if I want to make it blue, the blue construction paper, or a different color instead of the parchment paper. I kind of like it all being one cohesive color, so I might just go with the parchment paper, even though it's a bit delicate, just because I like the look. So that's what I'm going to do, is just use parchment paper again here. I suppose I could double it up, and that would make it a bit sturdier. And I think that's what I'm going to do, is double it up. Oops. Oh, that was an easy solution, wasn't it? Hopefully it works out the way I want it to. So it looks like I'm going to trim just about 1/4 inch off of this piece that I have here. And remember, our panel is 4 inches wide, but I do want some room here for to be able to slide my ID card in for the passport. So that's what I am compensating for. I suppose I could put on that upside down, but I don't know. Yeah, perfect. That is perfect. So let's see, what does this measure? This measures 3 7/8 wide by 5 1/8 tall. So next I'm going to cut a little notch here. And I used this one last time, but I think I'm going to go with this one this time, just to have a little bit more wiggle room in there. And of course, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not going to measure. It's my least favorite circle punch ever. I don't know why, it's never worked for me very well. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. I'm actually going to lay the glue down here. And I was happy because it actually adhered even with this being plastic to paper. It still adhered fully. But just to be safe, you could use Fabri-Tac or any of the brother, what am I thinking of? Any of the beacon glues seem to work really well with adhering paper to plastic, metal, fabric to paper, like everything. It glues everything together. Or E3000, that could probably work too, although that stuff is pretty stinky. Okay, so now I would distress all the way around inside my pockets here. Oh, it's such a pretty color of blue. And then do any last trimming like up here at the top. You can see it's a little bit wonky. And so I just make sure that my folds are where I want them, and then trim the top off with my paper trimmer here. So that is what I'm going to do. Just do some super fast distressing. If I can find my mat. So I've got all of my edges and corners inside, outside distressed. And before we glue these down, we are going to sew in our passport papers. Just like this one. I stamped these. I don't know if we'll have time here in this video because I don't have a ton of space left on my phone, or memory, whatever it is. But we're going to sew our signatures in before we glue the pockets down. And so that's why it's crucial to make sure that you cut the little triangles out for your pockets so the paper has room. So if you've never sewn a signature in before, it's super easy, nothing to be worried about. I'm just going to line my crease up with the crease on my cover here. And once I do that, let's see, paper clips. I'm just going to paper clip them in place just to help secure it a bit. Okay, and that looks like it's nice and lined up. It's lined up with the top of my page. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I did trim. I lined up all the top of my piece in my paper trimmer, and I trimmed the top, so everything is flush now. And it was less than 1/4 of an inch, not much at all. So I've got that all lined up, and you're just going to get your needle. I'm using dental floss. It is waxed. Probably you should have unwaxed, but it's just what was handy. I don't want to go dig for anything. And I forget what this is called, like a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm just going to go approximately in the middle. And luckily it went right through where I wanted it to go on the first try. And if it didn't, I guess I could always take it out and, you know, try again somewhere else. Okay, then I'm just going to go through this back side here. And I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, whatever that is, away from, oops, the bottom of my paper. And, you know, I should probably pre-punch these holes with an awl or some tool, but I am not. I am being, I don't know, lazy, I guess. Okay, and I've got it lined up, the same spot. It's about, yep, it went right through my seam there, which is great. I'm gonna pull it through. And then I'm gonna go back through my first hole here. At least I think I am. Okay, and I'm gonna go on the opposite side of my dental floss, because that's gonna help me tie it. Okay, I'm gonna tighten it up by pulling in opposite directions. Looks good. I've never used dental floss before, so if you have something else, use it, because I am not sure. I mean, it's sticky on my fingers, so I'm not sure how great it will be for this. If you've got, you know, even probably, I don't know, sewing string might even work, thread might work better than this. And I'm doing extra knots because it is so thin. All right, that looks okay. And now I folded it over and it's flush with my seam there, which is what we want. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and glue up my pockets. Just a teeny tiny bit of glue, not a ton, because I suppose you could load these pockets up if you wanted. Okay, and if you watch, boop, look at that. There's just enough room with our little triangle there for our teeny tiny little signature. I forgot to mention the signature is only 2 pages, so it comes out to be 4 in total. And I decided to punch USA, since this one is, you know, supposed to be a US passport. So I punched it up here in the corner with a needle because I saw that on an older passport. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think I have it on mine. I don't know if they still do that, but I really liked that. I thought it was a cool touch. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay. Those are my little letters for the word passport. Oops. A little out of control there. So we got these all done. I'll just take a card here. Everything fits nicely. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and put passport, the word passport, on the front of my piece, just lining it up on this little grid from the dollar store and using this ruler. Right? And I've got some die cut, some teeny tiny little fiddly die cuts here that are gold and have the word passport. If I can find the P, there's the T. I mean, there's a million different ways you could do this. If you don't have little letter die cuts, you could, oh, this is a pain in the butt because I'm missing a P. Where did it go? As I was going to say, you could use a label maker, or, I mean, there's a million different ways you could do it, right? Ugh. All right, well, I guess I have to go die cut another P real quick. Okay, so I have been putting the majority of these on here off screen because there's nothing terribly technical about this, gluing fiddly little letters onto this. If you like to watch this type of thing, which I do, I like to watch YouTube and watch people do fiddly little things like this, but I'm sorry for leaving you out. if you were looking forward to it. Anyways, what I wanted to say was that on this passport, I actually stamp and heat embossed the logo portion of it, and added it on after I dry embossed the pattern onto the whole piece. Because on this one, I heat embossed it first with this stamp, and it doesn't look horrible, but it seemed like it blended in a little bit too much. So I decided to do it this way instead, because I think it just looks a little bit more, I don't know, just looks a little bit better. It could pass, maybe. I doubt it. I was just thinking it would be funny to take it to the airport and try, which you'd probably get into trouble, so, or maybe you just get laughed off, but it would be silly either way if you didn't get in trouble. I remember when you could still fly internationally without a passport. That's how old I am. Just a driver's license. At least I did. One time to Canada to see my sister, and I almost didn't get back in the US. It was pretty close call. They made me sing the national anthem and a bunch of silly things, which they were probably just messing with me, but I can't say I blame them. Okay, so that portion is done. Oh, this. I'll show you this, what I did here. So this is a Tim Holtz, I forget what they call them, photo. Of course, you could use any photo, I would guess. And so I just did some stamping on the back and kind of tried to use some official type looking things that they would normally have on a passport. And of course, I just Googled and then looked at images. So Google's always a good resource, right? And so first I stamped the background some. And let's see what stamps I have. If my video runs out, I'm sorry. I don't have very much space, memory left on my phone. Let's see. I think I've got some good ones here. That'll work. So I am just going to use the same color scheme, I think. I used VersaFine Clear. And I feel like layering when stamping is always a good technique to use when you're doing this type of thing. Let's see, this just has an eagle on here. It says Defiance is Patriotic. I got it from, what is it, the Portland Stamp Company? Is that what they're called? Anyways, I love them. Yeah, Defiance is Patriotic. But I have this lovely eagle on there, so I want to try and use it. Let's see, but I don't want that part. I'm going to rub it off. Hopefully I did that right. We're just going to layer it right on there. Looks fairly official, and let's get some of those round looking, I don't know what to call those. I don't know what to call them, but I know that they do have them on passports. And of course, these both say Paris. This is from AliExpress. These both say Paris on them. Wish I had one that says USA on it. I got Washington, D.C. This one's like a postmark type stamp, but that's okay. I kind of feel like I want to use a little bit more vibrant blue, so I'm going to use this Bluebell on it. So I'm going to stamp it off and then stamp behind, and then let's see, put this guy here, and then I'm just going to stamp the corner of my photo. Let's see. Yeah, and that makes it look, I don't know, a little bit more official to me for some reason. A little bit more real, authentic. That's the word I'm looking for. And so because this is pigment, it's like a hybrid type ink. It's not dye, it is pigment. So this is going to be wet on this glossy surface. And we can lay it right there. And I'm just going to fill up this space right here with something. And I think I'm just going to be, I don't like the word Lisa there. see on this guy, there's the word Visa. I wonder if I can just get that portion. I'll do it in red. Or I guess it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit more of these other parts. And here's my scrap. Let's see, I'm going to stamp off the excess lightly. And then go in, get this corner. And now I feel like I have to do it all the way around. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Perfect. So let's slap some glue on it, shall we? So this is a fun way to utilize that pocket in your mailer, upcycle your mailer. This one's quite a bit more colorful and vibrant than this one. Okay. No! Oh well. Look at, I got ink all over this. Bad girl. That's what I get for not being careful. Now, with this back panel, I stamped this guy on here, and I really like the way that looks. But I have this, an extra one, and I'm just going to slap it on there because I have it. I think that distressed ink color on the other one looks more authentic, but that's okay. So we've got that. And then on this, let's slide my gal back in there. So down here at the bottom, I just did some random stamping. It's the only pocket that I decorated just because it's on this photo ID page. And I just used black for that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's slide her in. I bet you the ink is good enough. Yeah, nothing came off. That's what I like about that VersaFine, is that it sets pretty quickly. And luckily, she's sliding perfectly right in there. A little adjusting. So cute. I love it. Looks great. Okay, so now I'm just going to do some real quick stamping down here and probably call it good. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to stamp these pages with you, but I'll definitely show you the other ones. Let's see. And so for down here, I just used some scribbly type stamps. I've heard them called ledger stamps. I don't know what the right word is. I got them off AliExpress. It's probably my favorite place to get stamps. And I'm just going to use Memento for this portion. Memento is, this is Tuxedo Black. And I have a re-inker for this. It just always seems to dry out so quick, even though I don't use it that often. I don't know why that is. That's what I like about the VersaFine, is they do not dry out. I've had those for quite a while and they're still going strong, really juicy. But the dye ink pads do seem to dry out a bit quicker. So we've just got a little official business down here. Then I'm going to layer something on top of it, another stamp right there. Let's see. Anything good on here? Arrived. That might look good. Let's test it out. Let's try this on there. I like it. And I just need one more element here to satisfy my balance requirements. Everything has to feel semi-balanced. Sometimes I feel like I add too much because empty space is still an element of a design too. And, you know, I don't always do well at utilizing the empty space in my design to my benefit. I just think, fill it up. But, I mean, I like this. Okay. So, let's see, on these guys, I just used whatever official looking stamps that I had to make some, you know, stamps you get in your passport. And then I went over them with this date stamp. You can see this guy right here to make it look somewhat official. And then you could still write in here, journal in here if you're going to use it for a junk journal or whatever. And then I added some miscellaneous ephemera. You know, I didn't have, I think I've got one ticket in here, like a bus ticket. That's Tim Holtz, and then some other receipt looking type things. And this is a label. I want to try to make a copycat airplane ticket. That would be fun. But that is the gist of it. And yeah, this one, oops, exactly the same, except for this one, I did not dry emboss the design onto this one. And of course I got my lovely ink mess here. This one I poked the USA holes in. So that's a fun option. And there's our beautiful little gal getting ready to travel the world. Got some washi stuck on there. Let's see, how does this fold up? Just like this. Awesome. Hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Or if you have any questions, drop them there as well. And thanks so much for hanging out.